How's it going, everyone? Are you tired of having run after run and Slay the Spire end like this? If so, this beginner's guide was made just for you. In this video, I'm going to talk strategy, give you an overview on elites, pathing, shops, and most importantly, card choices. So let's dive into Act 1. So here we are, not even at the first enemy encounter, and we're given a huge choice that can certainly help to improve the outcome of a run. Many of the options have some daunting drawbacks, but when you consider the help they provide, it's usually a very good choice to make. I'm going to take a random boss relic, because having a 4th energy every turn allows for more aggressive card selection and really provides opportunities for you to focus on your Act 1 priority, front load damage. Every choice you make in Act 1 should be solving the problem of your next elite fight or solving the boss fight. Act 1 elites hit really hard and punish you for not hitting back harder. For this reason, the majority of your early card picks, you want to focus on cards that will make you hit for as much damage as you can. Let's take a look at the Velvet Choker relic. As a bonus, we get an extra energy every turn, which will allow us to take higher cost cards and play them more effectively. As a downside, we can only play 6 cards per turn, so no infinite hands this run, and a meme-worthy zero-cost build is going to be way out of the picture. You have to remember that this game demands you to plan ahead. Looking at our first reward screen, there's not a great amount of choice for hard-hitting cards. Tempest is great later in the game, but if you draw it at the wrong time in early fights, it isn't very helpful. Capacitor is good also, but without supporting orb cards, it's the equivalent of an early curse. So let's take Self-Repair. This will allow us to be more aggressive in pathing choices with a guaranteed 7 hit points gained every fight. Moving on, we get our first event. Removing cards should always be a priority almost any chance you can get early on in the game, as most cards you get will be pretty good improvements on your basic strike and defend decks. Just make sure if you do come across a lot of early removal, you don't leave yourself in a spot where your deck can't block or can't dish out any damage. A lot of times an early shop can be useful, but always check your gold first. If you don't have much gold to spend, you run the risk of losing high value items and possibly just wasting room. Getting to our first campfire, in Act 1, unless your path is aggressively hunting elites, it's a good idea to upgrade unless you've got less than half HP. Even then, an upgraded card is going to mitigate more damage loss than sleeping. Of course, there will be times you have to, but try to keep it at a minimum. I'm going to upgrade Beam Cell here because having an extra turn of vulnerability on enemies is a huge help in taking them down faster. Finally got a choice here for a good high damage card that gets better every time you play. Chances are later in the run it won't be as useful, but it's a definite help here early game. And with a campfire right after, it's even better to be upgraded. A bit of advice here as we add more cards. Don't try to shoehorn your deck into an archetype. While they're great and so much fun to see come together, archetype decks fail early because you just haven't had enough time to get the cards and relics you need. And you may end up passing on some really useful cards that can help get you through tough fights. Fun fact for this room, the description here is going to tell you which elite is going to come when the monster returns. Eviscerated and chopped means you're going to fight Lagavulin. Scoured by flames is the sentries, and gouged and trampled brings the gremlin knob after you. Keep your path in mind before risking an elite fight. So here we confront our first elite. With Lagavulin, you have to take it down quickly before it robs you of strength and dexterity. This is where your hard hitter cards come in. Vulnerable is incredibly useful here too. Potions are also great against elites, further slowing down the damage you'll be hit with. The Gremlin is statistically one of the most run-ending elites, simply because any deck that relies on skill cards cripples under his buff. If you draw any skills that are useful on turn 1, play them and then focus on just hitting as hard as you can every turn. Checking the map here, I'm past our elite fights, now I need to focus on defeating the boss. Hexaghost has some hard-hitting turns and I haven't chosen any block cards yet, so I'm going to go ahead and grab Force Field here. Remember to check your map often. Act 1 especially is about preparing your deck for the next elite or boss. Ice Cream would have been an incredible relic if I could afford it here, so always keep that in mind. This shop is actually pretty useful, although. I've already got some lightning generation going on, so generating additional focus with Reprogram will be great. Core Surge would be nice, with the artifact it provides, and Hologram is incredibly useful for pulling cards that you may have missed or would like to play again. Now that I have Gambling Chip and Bag of Preparation, I'm going to have some great first-hand setups to get fights really rolling forward. Cool-Headed is a great take here. It cycles more cards through and generates Frost Orbs, more synergy with the Reprogram we just picked up. Before we move on to the Act 1 boss, if you like this format and have found the video helpful, I'd love it if you gave me a caw in the comments below. Subscribe and hit the like button if you want to see more soon. Now that we've taken down the Act 1 boss, it's time to shift gears and prepare for Act 2, which will require us to focus on two things: scaling quickly and taking on many enemies at once with AoE. Creative AI here makes for some ridiculously fun decks, but it requires a lot of energy and playing many cards a turn. Remember, we can only play 6 with the Velvet Choker. Hyper Beam is great for hitting a lot of enemies hard, and I considered it for a while here. But ultimately, it goes against a lot of what we've already picked up, and Electrodynamics scales really well with focus decks. And it hits enemies too. As for our relic choice, I really like Calling Bell a lot of times, but with how well the deck is taking on elites so far, I'm thinking I'll go with Black Star. And take some more aggressive elite paths to really stock up on relics. And that's going to do it for Act 1. We'll pick up right here next time and talk strategy for Act 2. When that video is live, it's going to show up right here. I wish you all the best and hope to see you again soon.